Evaluating expressions. This is from lesson 2-5 and it's day 2 of a 4-day lesson. There is no essential question today. This is just a continuation of the notes from 2-5 day 1. Evaluate each absolute value expression if x equals -3, y equals 5, and z equals -2. So this is the information we're going to need when we're evaluating the expressions below in blue. So we start with 12 minus, I'm going to make my absolute value sign. Make sure you know that it's an absolute value sign and not a 1. X is -3, so I'll plug that in. Minus, and y is 5. Close my absolute value sign, and I have plus -2 on the end. Now when we're solving absolute value expressions, we want to treat these like a PEMDAS problem. So if we're treating it like a PEMDAS problem, we know we do our parentheses first. Now in this problem, we don't have parentheses, but we have absolute value lines. Think of those as your parentheses or what you do first in an absolute value expression. -3 and -5 make -8. Bring down the absolute value lines. Bring down the 12 minus and the plus a -2. Now I'm not done with my absolute value yet. I have to take the absolute value of -8, which is 8. Bring down the 12. Bring down the -2. And now all I have left is adding and subtracting. Now in PEMDAS, we do adding and subtracting from left to right. So 12 minus 8 is 4. 4 plus a -2 is 2. Second one, -y, so that would make it -5, plus x, which is -3. Close my absolute value signs, minus 3z, and since they're touching each other, it's times a -2. All right, again, I'm going to work inside my absolute value sign first. -5 and -3 make -8. Absolute value of -8 is 8. Now I've got multiplication and subtraction left. So I'm going to multiply first, but remember we have to think of this as a -3 times a -2, which would be +6. So 8 plus 6 is 14. All right, we're going to do the same thing here, except we have different values for x, y, and z, and we have 2 different expressions we're going to work with. So the first one starts off as 20 minus the absolute value of z, which is -1, minus y, which is 2, plus 2 times x, which is 4. Following PEMDAS, I start with my absolute value signs. -1 and -2 make -3. Bring down the rest of my problem. The absolute value of -3 is 3. Now that I'm done with my absolute value signs, I'm left with subtraction, addition, and multiplication. So I will multiply first according to PEMDAS. Then I can add and subtract from left to right. 20 minus 3 is 17. 17 plus 8 is 25. Next one, -x, so -4 plus z, which is -1, minus 5 times y, which is 2. All right, inside my absolute value sign, -4 and -1 make -5. The absolute value of -5 is 5. Now I'm left with multiplication and subtraction. So I'm going to multiply. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. 5 minus 10 is negative 5. Alright, this time we just have two variables we have to replace, x and y. This one's a little bit longer though. So negative 6, our y is 7, minus 2 times x, which is negative 2, plus 5 parenthesis, negative 2 minus 3. Now this time, it's kind of like we have two sets of parentheses, because we have our absolute value and we have our actual parenthesis. So I'm still going to work with my absolute value first, and then I'll do my parenthesis after, but it doesn't matter which one. So in my parenthesis, I even have PEMDAS. So I have multiplication and subtraction. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Bring down my 7. And then I'm also going to work with this parenthesis, since I can do both of them at the same time. Negative 2 and negative 3 make negative 5. Keep going. 7 minus 4 is 3. Bring down my negative 6. Bring down my plus 5. Bring down my negative 5. All right, the absolute value of 3 is 3. Now here's something that's new. If you have a number right outside of an absolute value, that actually means you have to multiply. So notice how this 6 over here is touching my absolute value bar. That means multiply. Now I'm also going to bring down my 5 times negative 5. And now I'm just left with multiplication, addition, and multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both at the same time. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. So then if I add those together, I have negative 43. That one was challenging. Your homework for this lesson is pages 105 through 106, numbers 1 through 3, and 13 to 21.